Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well, and of course Arnie does too. There's no getting away from the fact that the planet's biodiversity is in peril. More and more species are becoming endangered, and the changes we've made to this planet have had massive negative impacts on the species we share the planet with. Despite the obvious signs, some people refuse to believe that we are at a crisis point, some of which find their way into my comments. 1 in 4 mammals and 1 in 8 birds face a high risk of extinction in the near future, and in total almost 17,000 plant and animal species are known to be threatened with extinction. But even though this fact alone is shocking, it's thought to be a gross underestimate. Less than 3% of the world's 1.9 million described species have been assessed for the IUCN's Red List of Threatened Species, and only 1.9 million species have been described out of an estimated 13 to 14 million species that exist. This means that it could be a lot worse than the figures suggest, and currently we are losing some of the world's most iconic animals. This problem isn't an easy one to fix, because as our population grows there'll be less space for wildlife, and illegal poaching is very hard to combat, especially because it's very well funded. In many cases with endangered species, people tend to start caring too late, where the damage is irreversible. Luckily many animals have bounced back through conservation, but for many species there is no happy ending. In this video I'll be going through a few animals that are teetering on the edge of extinction, as I'll be going through 5 species that we may lose by 2030. And for our first species we'll be heading to the Gulf of California, as we have the Vaquita. Now this species is endemic to a small part of the Gulf of California, but it can be found in shallow turbid water, normally with depths less than 150 meters. The Vaquita is one of the smallest living cetaceans, with an average length of around 1.5 meters. This size is reflected in their name, as although I'm butchering it, it means little cow in Spanish. This is both because of their small size and because of their chunky round bodies. In their shallow water homes they are generally unfussy when it comes to food, feeding on various species of crustaceans, squid and fish. These porpoises do have to look out for predators themselves, as they are sometimes targeted by large sharks and killer whales. This predation has turned out to be the least of their worries, as their main enemies are humans, and more specifically illegal fishermen. The Vaquita is the rarest marine mammal in the world, with their population thought to number less than 10 individuals. With numbers this low it may be already too late for this porpoise, but people are trying their best to save them. The reasons behind this porpoise's decline are almost solely explained by the popularity of one fish, the totoaba. This fish is a large member of the drum family, and is endemic to the same area as the Vaquita. This fish was once abundant, but just like the Vaquita is now also very rare. The fishing for this species was banned in 1975, but to this day many fishermen risk their freedom at a chance to catch this fish. They are considered a delicacy in China, and their swim bladders are a valuable commodity. Their swim bladders are used in traditional medicine, yet these bladders have no medicinal use. As these fish have become rarer, the prices have gone up, and they're thought to sell for as much as $46,000 per kilogram. This has led to illegal fishermen using destructive tactics to catch these fish, as they often deploy large gill nets that have the ability to kill almost all wildlife in the area. To try and save this species, the Mexican government banned gill nets, and even tried to breed them in captivity. None of these attempts have been successful, and it looks like we may lose this species in the next few years. So it really is a shame that we're going to lose such a tiny cetacean. But for our next species we'll be heading to tropical waters around the world, as we have the Hawksbill turtle. Now these turtles got their name because of their pointed beaks that resemble those of birds. These beaks actually come in very handy, as they primarily feed on sponges that can be very hard to get at. Because of this diet they play an important role in the ecosystem, as these sponges can often outcompete corals, so without these turtles some reefs may suffer. Sea turtles are the living representatives of a group of reptiles that have existed on this earth for over 100 million years. This is a remarkable amount of time, and within just a blink of an eye we've pushed them to the brink of extinction. These turtles are currently listed as critically endangered, with around 20,000 being left in the wild. This population may not seem too frightening at first, but this turtle's population has declined 80% in the past 100 to 135 years. Although it's illegal in many countries, people do still hunt these turtles, as they are both eaten as a delicacy and their shells are used to make expensive items. Adult turtles have a few predators in the wild, but their main problem occurs when they leave the water. Like all sea turtles, the hawksbill sea turtle goes on land to lay its eggs, and after they are laid they are very vulnerable. Small mammals and birds dig up these eggs to eat them, and suitable nesting sites are becoming rarer and rarer. Coastal development has decreased their nesting sites, and increased traffic around these nesting sites have led to more fishing and boat related deaths. There are many conservation efforts to save these turtles, but as they have slow growth and reproductive rates, it may be too late to save them. I've left a donation link in the description below, and hopefully these reptiles will make it back from the brink of extinction. But for our next species we'll be heading to both South and and Southeast Asia, as we have the white-rumped vulture. Now, one of the first things you may notice about these birds is that they're not very pretty. Like most vultures, they have a bald head, which stops them from getting their feathers soiled when they've got their head inside of a carcass. Although these birds aren't widely loved, they do play an important role in the ecosystem. They're often referred to as nature's cleanup crew, as they're able to make carcasses disappear. You may not think this comes with many benefits, but this helps to stop the spread of diseases, such as rabies and tuberculosis. Their presence also helps to limit the spread of feral dogs, which are a main spreader of rabies in both South and Southeast Asia. The white-rumped vulture, along with its close relatives, were once one of the most abundant large raptors in the world. However, within a relatively short amount of time, their population plummeted from several million in the 1980s to less than 10,000 individuals in 2016. There are a few reasons behind their decline, but one of the main reasons is a drug called diclofenac. Diclofenac is an anti-inflammatory drug normally used to treat pain and inflammatory diseases such as gout, as well as being administered to humans. This is also sometimes given to cattle. When these cattle die and then the vultures feed on them, in most cases it is almost certain death. This drug causes renal failure, and this drug is thought to cause around 85% of white-rumped vultures' deaths. There have been campaigns to ban the use of diclofenac, as there are other less harmful drugs. The collapse of large ungulate populations also haven't helped their numbers, and although there are conservation efforts to help save these birds, it may be too little too late. But for our next species, we'll be heading to the southeastern United States, as we have the red wolf. The taxonomic classification of this species has been quite controversial. It was once thought to be a species of the grey wolf, and was also thought to be a genetic mixture of both a wolf and a coyote. These canines once ranged from southeastern Texas to central Pennsylvania, but today they can only be found in eastern North Carolina. In this area they can be found in a wide range of habitats, from forests to swamps and coastal prairies. They tend to be unfussy when it comes to food, but tend to show a preference for medium-sized mammals. They are a lot smaller than the grey wolf, and are actually midway between the size of a grey wolf and a coyote. They got their name of red wolf, as some individuals get a red tinge to their fur, which really sets them out from the crowd. Unfortunately, these canines are some of the rarest mammals in the world, with only 10 known red wolves in the wild. Despite almost being wiped out in the wild, there are over 200 in captive breeding programs. There are thought to be many reasons behind this canine's decline, as they were often targeted as they hunted livestock, and a lot of their habitats have been destroyed. They are also often outcompeted by coyotes, which are also known to hybridize with them. This hybridization endangers the red wolf's long-term viability as a unique species, and means we'll only be left with coy wolf hybrids. This is why conservation with this species is so important, so hopefully through conservation and captive breeding programs, we'll get to see these wolves thrive in the wild once again. But for our final species, we'll be heading over to Hawaii, as we have the Hawaiian honey creepers. Now for this last entry, I will not be focusing on just one bird, but a genus. Loxops is a Hawaiian honey creeper genus in the finch family. They are more commonly known as a kepa, and there were once 5 members in this genus. One of them is thought to be extinct, another is possibly extinct, and the other 3 are threatened. When it comes to all the ecosystems around the world, island ecosystems are the most vulnerable. They have usually been isolated from the rest of the world for millions of years, meaning that invasive species can have massive negative impacts. This is especially the case with birds in Hawaii, as introduced predators such as cats, mongoose, and owls have all led to their decline. The birds in this genus are highly dependent on the native trees. Their bills are specialised for opening their leaf buds, and they've depended on these trees for thousands of years. As well as having to deal with invasive species, they also have to deal with an increasing human population, which leads to a lot of their habitat being destroyed. Hawaii has such a beautiful and unique ecosystem, and it's important that we protect it. These birds are some of the most iconic birds in the area, and hopefully with a little help, the 3 remaining members of this genus won't have the same fate as the other 2. But that's about it for this video. I'm sorry that this video has been quite depressing, but I'll make a more uplifting one next time. As always, I've left donation links in the description below, so hopefully you'll be able to help out some of these species. But thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like these. But until next time, goodbye.